Howdy everyone and welcome to another episode of Bonnie's Legends. My name is Bonnie Orbison and today's guest is Natalie Bycraft. She is a fellow author that I met through Amy McNee's masterclass on how to market your art, I think, how to sell your art. It was like a 4-hour workshop. A wonderful experience. I've met so many people that are now my friends for that. What a wonderful experience. So Natalie's also a writer, and when we actually met, she was deep in planning on publishing Daughter Nature, a debut novel, which is out now, over a year now. And we had this conversation about a year ago, I think, November 2023, and we talked about all about Daughter Nature. I asked her what her favorite scene is. She talks about the process of publishing, writing, and also designing the cover, because Natalie is also a graphic designer and is available for services in case you need a new logo or a design for your new hoodie. This was a lovely conversation. I'm very excited to share it with you today, and I hope you get enjoy. People listening, people in the world, I have Natalie Bycraft on this podcast with me.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah, it's always like, is there anyone? No, but
Yeah.
we should say hi.
Nope. Hey.
Someone will listen to this, so we can say hi. Yeah, nice. Welcome on the podcast. I'm so happy to
Thank
have
you so
you.
much for having me.
Yeah, I was really excited to when I got the idea of inviting you onto the podcast because it's a debut novel, and I remember when I published my debut novel, I really would have loved someone to be like, "Hey, can you come into podcast and just talk about your book?"
I
So
know that's the dream.
yeah.
I've literally they you say like manifesting. I have literally thought, oh, I can't wait to be on a podcast. Someone's going to interview me about my book, and now it's happening. So it
Yay.
works.
It truly works. Some new moon shit as well going on. We have all
Oh
the
yeah.
energy. Who is your legend? Because
Um,
podcast is called Voice Legends. So
um, in the writing world or
you
in
can
general, I guess.
you can also choose two if you have like someone who's like in general and then one who you want to shout out in the writing world.
Okay. I think my legend in general, I guess, all-time legend is Johnny Clegg. He is he's grew up in South America and he's a musician. Also was, I gotta remember to say was because unfortunately he passed away a few years ago.
Mm.
Um, he was an activist and he helped to he was trying to bridge the gap between white and black in South America or in South Africa and uh, fight against apartheid. And he was also a terrific musician. I love all of his music, and I'll tell you about songs of his. I'll recommend some for you.
Nice.
Yeah,
Thank you.
he's
And
wonderful.
do you want to say someone in the writing world, or if you have no one, it's also good. Like we can go with Johnny. You know.
Um, I would say my favorite author. She's kind of the author that got me into reading, and I discovered her books when I was a kid. Her name is Bridget Lowry, and she's from Australia. She writes young adult fiction for the most part, and I really fell in love with her books. And that was, I guess, the first time I started reading for fun as a kid. Otherwise, I didn't
Nice.
really enjoy reading very much because they made me do it for school, and I don't
Mm.
like it. I don't like when people assign reading to me. I'm not a fan, but if I pick reading on my own, anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I really enjoy her style of writing. It's like whimsical and fun and sweet.
Yeah. Nice. Let's start talking about your debut novel, Daughter Nature, which I have to
All
say,
right.
the title is so clever. Like it's something like right, like Mother Nature. Everyone knows Mother Nature, but like Daughter Nature. I find that brilliant.
I'm so glad you said that.
I
I
see you wish it.
yes, you see the vision.
Yeah.
um yeah, when I originally my working title was the new Mother Nature, but that wasn't really, it
Yeah.
doesn't really grab, yeah. Um because she's not the new Mother Nature. She's just kind of like, well, almost literally more just a daughter of nature itself. And uh it is about, I'm I'm holding it right now, so that's why I'm
Totally.
I'm referencing it. um Basically it's the story of how our main character, Leslie Heron, her nickname is Lee, so you'll hear me refer to her as Lee, um finds out that she's a Terra Guardian. She's one of these people who have powers to help the environment and to help soften the blow of different environmental crises on the planet. And basically, finding out about that means that she found out that she is being targeted along with the rest of her people. So all
Mhm.
of a sudden, she has to learn to use her new abilities. She can protect herself before this person who has been following her and who has attacked her strikes again.
Hmm. Nice.
Yeah,
I'm excited to read it. I haven't gotten it yet, but I'm excited to read it. It will definitely be on my read list for next year. Definitely.
nice. I can't wait to hear what you think.
Yes. I also added it already to my want to read list on Goodreads. And that's when I saw that
Perfect.
my book was on your wanted to read list as well. And I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
we're buddies. I like that.
that's right.
Yeah, it sounds really nice. I mean, I really want to know how you I mean, I kind of, we heard what it is about, so we kind of can sense where it's like kind of coming from the idea and like it's so on topic right now, right? With like climate change and whatnot. So I really
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about like when was the first time you like had this story in your mind?
Well, I originally came up with the very first seed of the idea in March of 2018.
Wow, that
And
was so specific.
I recently looked it up, so
Nice.
so I would know. um,
Author math, right? Like we know
oh yeah,
exactly
yeah.
when.
I really need to know that stuff because I'll forget. I had a dream, and there's a scene in the middle of the book, and it's kind of loosely based off of that dream. However, the dream didn't have anything to do with the environmental stuff. So at some point after that, I came up with like, why is this person hunting this person down? And
Mm,
then eventually I started trying to develop the idea and came up with the uh, like the natural powers element of it.
yeah.
Mhm.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, 2018 was kind of when it like when the awareness started of like our environment, right? Or
I
maybe it was just because
probably
I
beforehand, but it had,
yeah.
it's been things are, starting to come to a head and stuff in more recent years, and we're starting
Yeah.
to see more of the effects. Yeah.
Yeah. I think for me it was just because I was like turning 15 for like the 15, 16. I kind of was the first time I got aware of it and was like, oh, okay, shit, thank you. Like what
Yeah.
okay, right. Need to do something about this now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I write a little bit about that in the book. That sort of feeling of wanting to be able to help the environment, but uh, just like using your own straws and like recycling isn't going to
Yeah.
do it. That kind of
Yeah.
helplessness of wanting to be able to help and wanting to make a bigger change in something like this, but being one person
Yeah.
who just doesn't have the capabilities to actually create large scale change,
Yeah. Yeah.
unfortunately.
Is that where you then kind of came up with giving her the superpower to kind of help in a more
Yeah,
broader way? Yes. Okay.
yeah.
Nice.
So she's a nature lover in the book, and when she before she knows about her powers, she's kind of going through that same conflict of like loves the environment, but man, there's all this shit happening that she feels helpless about and can't do anything about, but feels this responsibility to help. And then eventually she finds out that she actually does have the abilities to help
Yeah.
in a much more literal sense than she thought before.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, okay. It kind of gets hand in hand with the writing process. But I was interested if you had an outline for the novel, or if you if you are a plotter or a pantser.
um, well, uh, I pantsed this novel.
Nice.
I thought, oh, I'm totally going to be a pantser, when I first started writing. It's like
Yeah.
it fits my personality style more because I'm more of
Yeah.
a go with the flow person and less of a outliner, detail oriented, organizing type of person. So I thought,
Totally.
oh, for sure, I'll be a pantser. But then it actually so happened that throughout the process of writing, I just think I made it more difficult for myself because I didn't have as much of a plan going into it.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
and so I
Totally
also,
relatable.
yeah, it's not easy just, whipping a novel out.
No.
And I had a really long, I kind of took like a hiatus from writing it. So I had started in 2018 and I was like slowly gaining word count, just kind of randomly coming up with things and not really doing the outlining thing. And then
Yeah.
it had been a couple of years break before I came back to it. And then that process of having to relearn everything that I had already written and then, actually still try to develop a plot that makes sense. I think
Yeah.
I made it more difficult for myself. So anyway, long story short, I think I'm going to try plotting the next book and see how that works for me.
Yeah.
And maybe it will be a better experience than this one. And then at least maybe I'll have a little idea of how each worked. And then
Yes.
my third book will be which one I actually am, maybe.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, totally. I sometimes experience I'm a pantser as well. Like I come up, yeah, like and I hate it in the middle of it, right? Like it's always like,
Oh,
what do I do
okay.
now?
So
Like
maybe
what is
that's
the
not such an uncommon thing.
no, it's totally not. Like I experience it all the time where I'm like in the middle of it, I'm like so lost. And then I come up, and then usually I come up with a side plot and just focus on that one and then come back to the main plot at the end. Now you know all the structure of my novels. No, but like I usually fill then the middle in like the editing, right? Like with my second draft or third draft. But like the first
Yeah.
draft is always like there's always a section where you're like, what is happening? What is going on? And all the
All right.
characters kind of do
It's
their own
sloppy.
thing.
Things don't make sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
So
have to like
totally,
connect the dots.
yeah, totally. But I kind of witnessed when, so sometimes when I write, like when you're looking for a literary agent or when you want to pitch the book to like, um, even if you want to pitch yourself to like a writing class or something, like a writing course, you sometimes have to pitch like your novel or like what you will write on. And that's when I usually saw how I outlined my novel because you have to give them like an outline of the novel, right? And then I really saw how that kind of gave me ideas for then continuing with the pantsing, like with the drafting. But I usually still
Okay.
went down a complete different road, right? But like
That happens. Yeah.
yeah. But it that always kind of showed me that I can plot things out, but I would totally not, right, as you said in the beginning. It's the rebellious thing of like, no, I want
Oh,
to do it like this now. Like
yeah, yeah, exactly. you want to have your
So
options open, I could
yeah,
just write wherever it takes me, whatever. But yeah,
yeah,
I think maybe there's more work involved in the actual writing part as a pantser.
yeah.
And then for plotters, the part with the more difficult work is actually plotting it out ahead of time. And then when you write it,
Mm,
it kind of falls together a little bit easier. So
yeah,
it's really just which which part of your writing is the more difficult part. Because
yeah,
there's like something difficult about each thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which one do you feel like, doing
Yeah.
today?
Right, right.
Um, totally. Yeah, okay. Thank you for sharing about kind of where the idea came from and how it kind of when you kind of wrote it. Um, did you finish any novels before, or was this like literally the first novel you finished?
I wouldn't say I finished any before, but I did start one prior to this that again I kind of pantsed it and then I didn't know what I was doing with it and I got stuck and I never came back to it. So
Yeah,
it's
okay.
surely it's sitting on my laptop somewhere just completely unfinished. Just yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
Yep.
Maybe someday you'll see the light, or maybe someday you
Yeah.
stumble upon it and be like, wow, this sounds nice. This sounds interesting. I want to continue writing it now. Maybe not.
I did actually, now that I think about it, I went back to that document and I grabbed a couple things from it and used it in this book because
Yeah.
the beginning there was some similar points between that main character and then this main character Lee.
Yeah.
I was like, I could use this, information from the work, like her job. I can use that
Yes.
writing in this one. Yeah, so I
That's so
recycled a little
clever.
bit.
Yeah, totally. You should. Like it is, as you said, it's hard coming up with ideas. It's hard coming up with a
Yeah,
novel. Yeah.
and I'd already written it, so
Yeah.
shoot, I'll just use that.
Yeah. I literally do this right now for my third novel as well. Like I've started writing. I'm right now in the middle of between things. Like I enjoy really writing short stories, but then in today's world, how do you publish a short story? Like I know how to publish a novel, but like how do you publish a short story? Like things like that. And
Right.
so
Do you do like a collection of short stories? Is it
yes.
like novella length? Who
Yeah.
knows?
Yeah. And so the third novel, I think I'm on the third draft as well. Which is probably I haven't been working on a novel for as long as I've been working on this novel. Usually I try to get rid of them very easily and be like, this is just it. This is the end. I mean, I can always, it's just from my perfectionist inside of me that I can be like, stop. Now there's the end.
Yes.
Um,
That's something
but
else that we should talk about too. The like
yes.
not letting the perfectionism get in the way of actually getting it out there
Yeah.
because man, it really does. It makes it take so much longer.
Yeah. But yeah, so I'm in the third draft of that novel, and so sometimes it's just write short stories, and then whenever I come back to editing, write the third draft of the third novel, and I kind of have a scene, and I'm like, oh, I kind of wrote a similar scene. Like obviously, like you sometimes just repeat things, and then
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like with different characters, and then I realized, oh, I can just totally like it's the better version of that scene I've ever written. I just have to change the character's name or like whatever. And so I do that now with my third novel, just because I start writing so many stories, and I probably in my lifetime I could never publish as many books as like I come up with ideas. So I'm
Oh,
just
I
like
know
I
it.
can totally use
I'm
it.
already so behind with the amount of
Yes.
story ideas I have and the amount that I've
Yeah.
actually written.
Yeah. I actually saw once an author sharing on Instagram how they have an entire Google document of like 100 pages of just ideas. And I was like, wow.
100 pages.
That's yeah.
Mm-mm.
I mean,
That's tough.
totally. Totally. I think I could fill 100 pages full of ideas, but I think, yeah, like right, like I think that would the guilt would drip in, being like, oh my god, this hurts so much. Yeah.
And you're like, you're missing out on story ideas while you're writing your current one and whatever. And
Yes.
that's tough because you're gonna love so many of them.
Yeah, totally. Do you want to? Okay, so we started talking about the perfectionism. Shall we?
Yes.
Shall we dive into it?
Sounds good.
Um, did you have? Yeah. So, when did you decide that? Yeah, that would have been the next question anyway. Like, when did you decide this is it? This is the novel I want to publish. This is it. This is the end. Like,
It was this year. You try to take it down. I think it was when did I decide it was essentially good enough?
that's
So,
also interesting how you
okay.
phrase it. Like when was it good enough? Because like I think it can never be good enough, but we just have to
Yeah,
call it good enough one day.
right. That's the weird thing about uh I don't find myself to be a perfectionist in general life, but
Mm.
with my art and with my writing, it's like no, it's I could keep tweaking it forever and still,
Yes.
like I can adjust these and, make it better, make it perfect.
Yeah,
Um,
totally.
uh, but it was, I guess, earlier this year when I finished I guess I should say 2023. Earlier in 2023 when I uh, finished my kind of official draft, and even then it wasn't like I still adjusted as I went a little bit. And my editor, Hope Weiss, she gave me a couple. Um, she was looking at the plot and everything, and she's like, these certain things like don't really make sense, and
Yeah.
then I'd adjust even further. So it really just feels like it's never quite there, but at some
Hmm.
point you have to say, this is this is really good writing. This is what I've done, what I've made, and I'm going to let it go out and be in the world the way it is. And it's still a good reflection of you. It's really just you're too close to it to see that
Yes.
this is really good writing. But yeah, if you're too close to it, then you're thinking, oh, I could change this word from this to that, and nobody's
Yes.
going to notice that.
Yeah. It is a tough journey. I actually trans so I kind of have a German reader base and I kind of have an English reader base, and the English one is um bigger, obviously. Like the German one is just really my friends, my family, or like friends of family, like everyone who's curious, who wasn't supportive in the beginning but is now curious to read it. So I do translate my novels into German, and it is tough. So I don't have the budget like to hire a translator. So
Right.
it is really tough because like I translate it and I see the things I want to change in the original draft, but I also like what I would love to change in terms of the German language. And so I have to, I mean, it kind of isn't like I don't think any translation is like word for word, but still
Right.
I
Yeah.
think if an author has a translator, because they're not as close to the novel as the author itself, they will they will tweak things as well, but they won't tweak things as much as I really do want. Like I see some things, like some answers, but like or some paths my characters have gone through, and I'm like, I really would have like taken you on a different journey, but it's like it's too late because this is already translation and the original is already published. So,
Yeah.
um,
And you can't change it now and have it differ from the
yes,
original. And then you can't change the original too much. Then it's new ISBN territory if it changed too much. Yeah. No.
yeah. But I actually put out an episode today. It is in German, but I think you would love it, but I'm so sorry.
I probably would too.
Yeah, it was with a writer, a friend of mine, and we talked about how, and I did tell her how I feel about it, but my debut novel and how I would love to just put out a new version of it. And she was like, but if people can go back to your debut novel and then read your latest work and see the growth. And I think, and she said, I think that's fucking beautiful. And I was like,
That
oh
is a
my
beautiful
God, it
thing.
is. Wow, I
Yeah.
didn't know that, right? So yeah, as we
Yeah.
said in the
Like,
beginning, of like, if someone unpublishes their book, that's like that is a massive loss in a way.
yeah, exactly. And
Um,
it's probably, I mean, if it reaches enough people, it's probably someone's favorite book at some point, or like,
yeah,
oh, someone like really loved this one chapter from it or this one like beautiful quote from it. And then,
yeah,
for it to be gone or whatever, that'd be
yeah.
sad.
Well, like, I get personally inspired if I read other people's books. Because, like, I see some
Agree.
scene and I want to write an entire novel, like, based on that scene, something like that.
Yeah,
And
yes, totally.
so, yeah, you couldn't, like, totally, my it could inspire someone to, like, write a better version of it, right?
Yeah, exactly. There's so many beautiful things that could come out of it that you're not thinking about because you're thinking, oh, it's not my best work or it's not my
Yeah,
best work anymore.
yeah,
But yeah, it
totally.
can inspire others.
Yeah. And also
So
it
beautiful.
doesn't have to be the best work just because it's the
Yeah.
debut novel. And I think like once you've published like a second book or something as well, you'll be like, this is my debut novel. But I mean I think it's because there's so much weight onto the debut novel in a sense that you think as an author this also has to be the best work you ever put out, like something like that.
Right. But in
Yeah.
reality, it's going to be like the best work that you've put out up until that point, but the like hopefully your worst writing as you keep going, because you always
Yeah.
want to be growing as a writer or as anything, as a musician, as a
Yeah.
artist.
Any artist. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Totally. I sometimes even do you sometimes think about that's such a weird Quaker thing, but do you sometimes think about like in the future that people like I don't know, grandchildren or something will read your books that you wrote with like for me like the 13 or like it was here I wrote that of 16, and I said that sometimes freaks me out to be like, oh my God, okay, nice.
I've thought about that like in a way. I think it will be really interesting to see what like now it will be interesting to see what my family thinks of it. And
Yes.
then later on in life, yeah, maybe like my nieces and nephews are gonna eventually read it.
Yeah.
And you also get the thing where like that kind of that nagging feeling where like eventually they're gonna read that sex scene that you wrote.
Yes. Totally.
I'm like, oh,
Totally.
my mom is gonna read my book, and that really really cuts you off from being able to write a good sex scene.
Yeah, totally. I did read everything to my mom at some
Did
point.
you?
Yes, I did. And she's also the first person who now reads the translation and like proofreads it and stuff.
Oh, that's
Since
nice.
she's not fluent in English, so she cannot fully really I cannot fully read to her the English version, which is sometimes sad. But it's fascinating because I started writing about my dating life in some form. Like I write short stories about the dates I go on. Now you know what my short stories
Yeah,
are about.
yeah.
They're not filling novels. Maybe that's why I just have to look for somewhere else for inspiration. Um, but I do not read out to her my dates, like that's something that feels like so private and intimate that it's like, oh, I don't know how and I do
I
talk
would
with
feel
her
very
about it.
awkward with that. Oh,
Yes, but
my
I
mom and I are not like that. Like,
okay.
like I don't really talk to her about that stuff. So,
Okay. Well, I kind of do talk, but like reading out to her what I felt like during the day to what he said, it's like
Mhm.
really different. And I'm like, nope, do not feel like sharing that. um, oh, my poetry. I did not translate my poetry into German. I will not, never. Like,
Never.
that's just no. Like, first of all, poetry to translate poetry is like really difficult
Yeah,
because
I think there's more nuance and there's
yeah,
can be more metaphor and stuff, and that can get messy. I could see that.
yeah, yeah. And also like it's just really poetry is for me my deepest thoughts. So I think I would never. I'm not open to sharing that with my family.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, nice. Um, I want to know, okay, so you talked about the editor, and you also, what I find really cute is that, yeah, oh, yeah, cute, sweet, cute, sweet. I really find it sweet how you also mention her, like on your Amazon page and also on Goodreads. She's like credited as an editor, and I really like
Yeah,
that because you don't see a lot of authors doing that, right? Like big publishing company,
I
like you,
guess you're
and
right. I was
yeah.
realizing that like I didn't realize that her name was going to be like
Oh,
predominantly on the Amazon page because
yes.
I mean, obviously I'd never done it before, so I was not sure. But I guess now after the fact, I do realize that a lot of editors aren't listed. I didn't realize
Yeah.
that was a thing.
Yeah. They're
Sorry, you
like
can go ahead with your
credited.
question.
I just meant like they credited in like the impressum, in the copyright page. They're the credited. But they're
Yeah.
no, I only did that for my debut novel when I got that one translated. So I put her into like next to me as a translator, obviously, to credit her.
Hmm.
No, I really do like that because it's just giving credits to someone that really deserves it, right? Like, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm all about like supporting other women, and we all deserve the spotlight. So
Yes.
and also she's a really good friend of mine and I love her so much. So hell yeah, I want her
Nice.
name right next to mine. I'm so happy with the job that she did and how she helped me develop the little parts of the story that were not quite hitting right. They were just quite, you know.
Yes.
So she did play a
Nice.
huge role in it, and she's an amazing person.
Nice. And how did you, I mean, you said you're like friends with her, but like, how did you decide to choose her as an editor? Did that just happen naturally or?
Well, my editor, she hadn't had prior editing experience, but
Yes.
she's an avid reader, and I trust her opinion. And um, to answer your question about um, how that came to be, I don't exactly remember um, like who said it first, but I think originally we were just kind of like, oh, you should edit my book, or like, oh, I'd love to
Mm-hmm.
edit it. Heck yeah. And then um, eventually, when it got to a point where I was ready for someone to edit it, she was all about it. She wanted to edit it. And I just think that's cool. It's kind of like something fun and new and I know as also someone who has edited someone else's novel,
Yeah.
um, it can be hard if you want to do that to kind of find your first person to let you edit their book.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
There's a
it's
lot of
like you kind of at least one under your belt if you want to do it with more edit or with more authors.
yeah. Yeah. And it's like totally also there's like so much trust that goes into the giving it away to like someone to edit and read it for the like and it'd be given to them in a very vulnerable stage, right? It's like we're
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of ready to be like to get it edited, but also don't hurt me. Like this is still my baby.
Right.
Yeah. So there's a
Like
lot of
you're ready for
trust.
someone to edit it, but it's also obviously without the editor, not at the place where it's ready to be published yet. So you're
Yeah.
like, just yeah, giving it away in that vulnerable stage like that, it is
Yeah.
a little nerve-wracking.
It really is. Yeah. Let's dive into publishing. I'm really interested how, so when beginning of this year you were like, this is it, this is my novel. How did you then proceed to like find a way to like first of all, I think figure out which way to publish, and then how you
Mhm.
uh came into self-publishing it.
Yeah. So I started off thinking, for my first novel, I'm going to take maybe the quote unquote easier route of publishing with Amazon KDP. Um, because, I was like, let's just see what the process is like, get
Yes.
used to it. And then maybe the next book, I will go the route that you did for It Was Her, where you're getting them all printed and then selling them on your own site, that
Yes.
sort of situation. So I might try that next time. But I did go with the Amazon self-publishing route this time. And when I realized that, okay, I want it published this year, I buckled down and went into full research mode and made this extremely long list of all the things that I needed to get done,
Yes.
and actually tried to come up with a timeline for myself. And that is something that is a whole other thing. Like, I don't
Yeah.
normally set deadlines for myself. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll get it done this week, or yeah, I'll do this, what. But for something like this, where I'm going to start promoting it and I'm starting to get the word out there, and I want to tell people, hey, it's going to be published on this date, I need to like come up with that date.
Yes.
And um, so I gave myself plenty of time. I'm thinking it was, maybe I'm referring to the list now.
Yes.
um, I gave myself from probably like April or May uh, to October 3rd, which, or the technically the 6th. I gave myself to October 6th to get it ready to publish. And so that gave
Nice.
me a few months to work on the cover. I designed the cover myself as well. Um, thank you. I'm really happy with how it turned out.
It looks really
Um,
pretty.
thank you so much. Um, yeah, I think it looks really nice. And then I also had to obviously research the entire process of cover design, because you're coming up
Mm-hmm.
with the entire file, I guess. Front cover, back cover, and spine in one document, essentially. And yeah, so that's like a subsection on the list. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Do you know what annoys me the most is the spine?
It
Because
does.
yeah, because you, so in order to like know the size of the spine, you need to know how many pages the
Yes.
book has. And
I
so
didn't
you
think
need to
about
have
this
it.
at all during.
Okay. So this is what
Yeah.
annoys me. And I went through a printing provider who gave me like a cover template, and I needed to pull it in like the number, like the page number. And I put
Mm-hmm.
in my page number, but I didn't know that the printing
Mm.
provider will add two more pages. Like naturally, they do it for every single book. And
Oh.
so they sent me like my cover file back, and I was like, what's wrong? Like I went with your template, you know? And they were like, oh, because like the spine is just not like long enough. And I was like, excuse me, what? What? And then I looked it up and I saw that they added two more pages to it, and I was like, yeah, because you added two more pages to it, like what is that about? And they were like, oh, we always do that. And I was like, you could have told me that. Like
Yeah, a little heads
and it
up
was,
would be nice.
yeah, and it was really wild because those two pages, right? Like those two single pages, they made such a difference. And I was like, what?
You
What
don't
are
think they
the,
will, but they
yeah,
do. Yeah.
they do. So I just wanted to get
Yeah.
that onto the podcast, that annoys me.
Oh yeah, let's talk about that for a second, because I didn't think about it
Yes.
at all. I was thinking initially on this list, I thought, hey, I'm gonna give myself a couple months to work on the cover. while we're in the editing process and while like I hadn't even formatted yet.
Yeah.
And then come to find out that I need to essentially have the formatted documents ready, the additional pages on the end so that
Yeah.
everything is like divisible by 4 and all of that.
Mm.
And
Yes.
in order to get the size of my spine so that I can make the cover the correct dimensions and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did not think about that at all prior to this, but one of the cool things that I learned, so that's good.
Yeah.
And so then what I ended up doing was creating the basic idea of the cover, and then once I had the actual dimensions to make my cover document,
Yeah.
then I was able to kind of just drag and drop all of the elements that I already created. So it was
Yeah.
pretty much done. It just wasn't at the correct specifications at that point.
Yes. Nice. Yeah. And I love
Something you don't
about,
think about.
yeah, and I also love about Amazon KDB that you can kind of move around the cover in a bit, like you can zoom in and out, like when you upload it. Is that still a
Oh,
thing?
when you're doing like the review
Yes,
of
exactly.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do enjoy that. I do miss that now, the going the different printing provider.
Mm. Mm.
Um, because I do need to, upload a complete different new file. It has to be PDF, and I'm like, why does it have to be PDF? Like, can I just anyway? Some graphic design thing here.
Right.
Um, yeah. I also saw that you design other people's logos, and so you kind of are a graphic designer if you think about it.
Yeah.
Like if you follow your stories, you kind of seem like a graphic designer.
Oh,
Do
I
you
guess thank
wanna
you.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about that a bit? Like how that kind of came
Yeah.
about?
Yeah, we can segue into like design a little bit. Um, so I guess I started freelance designing in probably 2017 or 18. And I started off mainly just doing apparel designs for companies. So I'll do a design for a couple t-shirts, and I've um, done quite a few logos now, and even things that are a little bit more illustrative at this point. And so I was actually having a lot of fun doing the digital illustration stuff that I've been doing a little bit more recently in the past year or two. And so my cover has kind of basically every illustration that I've done prior to this helped me
Oh,
get ready to make
nice.
this book, because like I had the vision in my head and I wanted to do it I guess digitally, like I wanted to do it on the computer.
Yeah.
um and doing some of these little illustrations that I've done for people, I learned basically how to make the cover the
Yeah.
way I wanted it.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Nice. That's yeah, you're always learning by doing in a way, right? Like, yeah.
Yeah. And it all ends up helping you create something like this. And then
Yeah.
I've also made my company's logo. And I just think that it's so cool that it's on the spine like that.
Yes.
I know I'm referring to something physically that your listeners aren't going to see, but on my book, my
That's
my
okay.
company's logo is it's on one of the title pages, it's on the spine, and I just get a lot of pride of seeing it there.
Yeah. It is definitely. The moment I had a name for my publishing company and I did have a logo, like my confidence of self-publishing like skyrocketed. Like it was like really good.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
A couple of
So
people are like, "Oh, what publishing company is this?" Like, "Oh,
yes.
they local?" They're me, actually. The publishing company
Yes.
is me.
Yes. I definitely saw that reaction from the German, like my debut novel. The original version of it is German and there is no logo on it yet. Um, and then when I self-published the English version. That was the logo on it. And I remember exactly the moment how I had finished the cover and I gave it to a friend. And my friend, okay, I kind of also had, I mean, it kind of doesn't make any sense that someone would take me, like a publishing company would take me for a translation of a novel that's already published, right? Like copyright wise.
Uh-huh.
But my friend, like we will, we will excuse them because like publishing industry is a weird thing to like figure out.
It is.
But they for some reason thought that I had found a publishing company and they put like because of the logo on the front cover. And I was like, no, 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 that is me. Like, this is me.
Really makes you look and feel official, though, you know?
Yes, exactly. It kind of, people start taking it more seriously because there's a logo on the spine. And it's like so
Right.
weird because it's like a tiny
Yeah,
spot.
right.
So,
But it makes it look like what people think of other books. I guess like if you're looking at your bookshelf and you're seeing like that's where everybody puts their publisher's logo. That's where
yes.
like every traditional publishing company is going to put their logo right there in the spine. Like it
Yeah.
helps it blend in and makes it look official,
Yeah.
even though you can. I mean, it's like we still have official companies,
Yeah.
just we're very small scale right now.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a I wouldn't take letters self-publish if our business would not be registered. So
Right.
but people don't know that because they don't know the specifics. But we will excuse them. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
Because you started talking about, right, we talk about the logo and the so I really want to talk about how you call your publishing company and how I really like your business. And I really love the title. So I want you to say
Oh, of course.
it.
So my company is called Multipassionite. It's
Yes.
kind of built on the my belief that um, at least for certain people, this is maybe not for everybody, but a
Yeah.
lot of people have a lot of different interests and a lot of different passions, and sometimes the world can make you feel like you do one thing and you pick that and then you stick with it, for a long time, and then maybe you switch it up at some point. But I really think that if you have multiple interests, explore them. I mean, we don't have to just pick one thing. You can be so many different things in your life, and um, I I'm really inspired when people are a lot of different contradictory things, or
Hmm.
they have interests that you feel like don't naturally go together. Let's say,
Yeah.
um, and I'm really inspired about. Sorry, I'm really inspired when I hear people talk about their passions and I hear people talk about their interests. I love that so much. So I wanted multi-passionite to be, first of all, a term that I call now everybody on our Instagram page or on our email
Yes.
list. I like call them multi-passionites like it's a noun.
Yes.
And
I love that.
yeah, and I lost my train of thought a little bit there. I think I covered a lot of it though.
Yeah, you
Um,
totally did. And I like how like the ending of the type like night is also kind of
mhm.
giving like night owl vibes and a lot of creative are working, at night. And like
Oh,
did
I hadn't
you
even thought of that.
ooh, there we go.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's like a different but it is like a different it's like an alternative way to like write night, right? Like in the
Yeah,
digital world, yeah. So I kind of already saw it in that way because like multi-passionate people usually you're like right, like when should we pursue our different passions? Like we have, like in the night we're this, and then in the morning we are this, and in the afternoon we do this. So it's like I
right.
really
It's
kind of
like when you
saw it
come
that
home from
way.
your day job,
Yeah.
then like you you do
Yeah.
like your side hustle or you do your passions in the evening, or, in
Yeah.
the nighttime.
Yeah. Exactly. That's how I interpreted your title. And that's why I kind of loved it because I was like
Cool.
identifying with it. There we go. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yes.
really
So, oh,
yeah.
sorry. Go ahead.
No, keep going.
I was going to say, so Multipassionite is my publishing company, as you were saying, and I also design logos, and I still do apparel designs for people. Uh, we do editing as well, and I always feel funny, like I'm trying to refer to my company as like we do this and we do
Yes,
that, even though
same.
it's just me. Yeah. So
Same.
I'll design your logo, I'll edit your book for you. Um, yeah, so basically the main like umbrellas or whatever that I'm working with under my company right now are publishing and design,
Yes.
and that can include cover design as well.
Yeah.
So it really is kind of geared toward authors and writers right now, but as well as I have a variety of different clients that have come to me for logos and to do their t-shirts and things like that.
Yeah.
Um, I just think it's so cool just to like to sidestep into back into the logo design thing for a second.
Yeah.
Um, I've just had clients in all different industries. And I think that's so fascinating because then I learn something new about a different industry every time I work on a client. And
Yeah.
that is just, that's so cool to me. Like I've done work for a dance studio and an auto shop, um, a commercial repair company, a women's motorcycle gear company, and a like nutrition based health and wellness like nutrition plan company as well. And so
Wow.
yeah,
All
so
over the
all
place.
these
Yeah.
people and all my clients have all these different passions and interests, and that's kind of it comes back to the meaning of multi-passionite, like learning about all of
Yes.
these passions that make each one of them who they are, you know.
Yeah. Nice. I really like that. I know we talked about it on our DMs, like in our DMs.
Mhm.
And I also know you said you were like open to talking about it, like business ownership, and you said you went to like business school, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
And so I was wondering if you uh because right, like especially for the younger like with our generation, it's like really feel like our education systems are like so old, and I mean they're really old fashioned sometimes. And you sometimes really ask yourself like, oh my god, what do I study? Like right now, I'm in the process of like, goodness, what do I do? And then I had gone to
Right.
music school for high school, so I have now a music degree, but like, what do I do with this? So I'm really interested if you think, and you said it was fun, so I'm really interested if you think it really helped, like it helps you on this journey now. Like you took things with you there that you kind of do remember now, like take on now in your business.
Yeah. I think so. First of all, the I ended up going to university and got my business degree um, because I kind of fell into that trap of like, don't go to art school. Like you're gonna
Yes.
have to be a teacher, and that's all you can
Mm-hmm.
do with it.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, well, I'll find something in business. I majored in public relations. So I had a lot of business courses. So I was taking accounting and finance and econ and things like that. And then on the PR side, we also had a lot of courses in marketing and journalism, things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I ended up getting what I think was a really good, well-rounded education. Plus, I met all of my best friends in college, almost all of them. So I have no regrets there because I met so many amazing people that are still in my life, and these are the people that are my amazing support system.
Yeah.
Um, and then I was in a job that kind of related to my major right out of college, and it wasn't for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided I'm gonna actually stop doing that, start
Yeah.
working on what I want to work on, kind of grow my design skills, do art, start
Yeah.
writing again. And I do feel like at least on the multipassionite side, I can still feel like I'm utilizing my business degree, even though a
Yes.
lot of the marketing stuff has changed. I still feel
Yeah.
like I have at least kind of an idea of the finance side, that I'm not totally in the dark on that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it definitely has factored in, and you could say it like it happened for a reason. It,
Yeah.
helped me helped me create my company. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. And did
Yeah.
you, I'm kind of interested in I think maybe it's just personally because I try to figure out what to study. But like, did you like was the course more focused on like big companies, or was it also like self-employed, like starting your own business? Um,
I don't remember a ton of classes really
yeah.
specifically talking about uh, starting your own company. I think a
Yes.
lot of them were kind of geared toward you're going to eventually work for some company.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I wanted
um,
to know. That's like
yeah.
very
And
uh
also, this was years ago now, so I don't know how it's changed, but
yeah.
yeah, at least for me, it was at
Yeah.
least mostly geared toward starting a business, or I'm sorry, working at someone else's business, essentially.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Thank you. I just wanted to know that because we did have at the end of high school before we graduated, they did we had to apply for some sort of course day um to like look what we can study, and I took the business day and it was like really geared about you going to work for a big company and you're going to build like climb up the corporate ladder or whatnot. And I was like really sitting there and I was like raising my hand and I was like, well, I actually signed up because I self-published my own books. So I was actually more interested at the side of like starting up a business. And the teacher was like really like the person who did like teach like taught us on that day was like really confused and like oh like oh well, I don't have much prepared for that. And I'm not really experienced in that because right, like I'm working for a big company that sent me today to teach high school students on
Right, right,
something.
right.
So I did find that I just yeah, I'm just always
That's
curious
funny.
how it is somewhere else.
There may be courses. Oh, yeah, I guess we didn't really mention this yet, but I'm in the US. I live in
Yeah.
Michigan. So I went to university here in Michigan. And so I don't know
Okay.
what it's like for all of your listeners. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
wherever you guys are. Hopefully, there's more courses out there that are more geared toward starting your own business or marketing yourself. And
Yeah.
yeah, that would be interesting.
Yeah. I think I'm more kind of going into the direction of taking like classes of like copywriting or something like like some things that are targeted maybe towards like oh you're going to work for a big company one day, but also I can really like as you said you utilize things from like your business school. So like a
Yeah,
copywriting class, like it's never wrong to take a copywriting class because I can always utilize that for
yeah,
myself. Like
exactly. Yeah. Like
so
my
yeah.
journalism classes and even my job at the university, I was writing articles for
Yeah.
like your kind of news articles essentially or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it just kind of flexes a different writing muscle
Yeah.
than what we're doing right now, being fiction. So
Yeah,
or poetry.
totally.
Like I do write some poetry too. I don't share it as much, but I'm going to. It will
Yeah.
be.
Mm,
I
nice.
have a little next book in the works, and it's going to be more like poems, short stories. Anyway, I
Nice.
got off topic a little.
No, no worries. Um, okay, and to wrap it up, our episode, can you believe it's already the end? Like,
Nope.
um, to wrap it up, I want to ask if you have a favorite scene in Daughter Nature that you wanna. I
Ooh,
mean, if it's not too spoilery, you like you
right.
can share it.
And be vague about it.
Yes.
favorite scene. Let's see.
That's such a tough question, right?
It is.
You like go through the
How am I
entire novel
supposed to
in your
pick?
head.
Yeah, I'm sitting
Yes.
here like going scene by scene, trying to figure it out. Um, I okay, I guess I'll give you two. One is
Okay.
very spoilery though, so I won't be able to tell you much about it.
Yes, because I haven't read
Um,
it yet.
right. Um, so in um like I said, in the middle of the book, there's that scene that was kind of based on a dream of mine. Um, I it won't spoil much of anything if I just kind of tell you a little bit about that scene. Um, but anyway, in the dream, I was at this party and I was kind of like in a crowd full of people. And then I had kind of locked eyes with someone who was staring at me and got this just this terrible, like, it was maybe like slightly more nightmare-y because I was I was like, oh shit. I was scared. And I was like, oh my God, that guy's like after me. And he had kind of started like descending the staircase, like he was gonna come after me. And I was like, oh God. And then at some point, someone had come and intervened and like, hey, are you like, we got to get you out of here. I was like, why me? What, like, what's going on? And so that's sort of the general idea of what happens in the party scene toward the middle of the book. And I guess I could say it's one of my favorites because it was the scene that started the entire book. You know, that is where the whole book was born. And I just had to, write everything on either end of it. And then my actual favorite scene, I think, is the kind of the finale or like the climax of the book. Um, because she just has like a really good moment where she's come so far and she's learned so much and she's kind of coming into her powers and it's really, I'm not going to say too much more, but it's really like obviously something big and climactic happens. So
Yeah. And I mean,
um
I think as an author, I think it is a beautiful moment to see that our character has grown so much, like
yeah,
evolved and like yeah, like we go on
exactly.
this yeah, we went on
It's
this
like
journey as well.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You're making them grow. You're creating this person from scratch and like giving them little life experiences and giving them feelings and stuff. And then
Yes.
eventually the story progresses to this moment where you feel like, damn girl,
Yes, totally.
Yeah, the
Yes.
finale, or I keep saying finale, it's technically more like the climax point. Um, a good like damn girl moment.
Yeah, I love that. Okay. You just sold me your book and I hope for some of the listeners as well. I really need to
I
get
hope so.
it.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's called Daughter Nature. Um, right now it is available for paperback on Amazon, and I saw it also on Barnes and Noble online and Thrift Books online, so it's available a couple other places. And currently, I am working on the ebook version, so by the time this episode comes out, 95% sure the ebook will be available too. So if you prefer the ebook over the paperback, then that should be out.
Yes. Nice. Thank you. Thank you for being on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me here. This is so much fun.
Howdy, enjoyed listening to this episode. You know the gist, you know what to do. Make sure to subscribe and share this episode with all of your friends and leave a review so more people can tune in to my conversations with my legends. This podcast episode is hosted, edited, and produced by Bonnie Orbison. Support her continuous work on her paid Substack, which is like an online diary, and she shares her poetry and lyrical essays on there, or get one of her books. Right now she has 2 fictional novels in German and English out, and now as well a poetry collection called Pretty Tennessee. This podcast is managed by the Queer Lounge, and the theme song is by Evie Solis. Video clips of this episode and anthems of the day on our Instagram at Bonnie's Legends, and we're also sharing from Monday to Friday daily the new music releases, so make sure to check that out. This episode is sponsored by Zencaster. Use my special link in the show notes to save 30% off your first month of any Zencaster paid plan. See you next time.